Looking up at the sky, searching for the most high. He did the way of worshiping gods of clay.
Assalamu alaikum. Today we're here with Nazeer Jamal, the Managing Director and Lead Environmental Specialist at Quasar. Assalamu alaikum, Nazeer. How are you doing?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, and how are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking. Okay, so let's just jump in and tell me a bit of what inspired you to make this career choice.
So the young people in school kind of find it difficult to follow or find the path that they want to do and what they want to study and who they want to become. But for me, it was kind of easy. I actually knew that this was part of my, fitra, as I say. I always loved being outside. I had so many animals, so many pets, birds and cats. And actually, one stage I had like over 8 kittens with me. So I loved farming. Yeah, I loved planting, watching things grow. So that kind of was always with me. So when I found out that you can actually study and become an environmentalist, I thought, well, this is perfect with my passion. And so that's when I went to university, studied, and actually continued on this path.
That's awesome. I always love it when people are following passion. So you work for Quasar. Can you tell us a bit of what they do and what they're involved in?
Yeah, sure. So I started in government over 10 years after I left, I finished my studies. And in the last 1.5 years, I decided to leave government, which is not a common thing many people do, right? All the perks and the easy life, I should say. I took on challenges because I love new challenges. I love, trying to push myself to the limit. So seeing that this was a great challenge to start my own company and then, see where I can take it. And alhamdulillah, even through the COVID crisis and the economic downturn, alhamdulillah, the company is still doing well. And I really appreciate and I'm grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all of my clients and supporters. The work that I do is pretty much anything environmentally related. So with any new development, there is generally environmental legislation that is triggered. And so certain developments may require permits, environmental permits, or environmental impact assessments, as they call it, which is a combined, sustainable and holistic view on a development, taking into consideration the social impacts, the benefits and losses potentially, the economic impact, which is again the negatives and the positives from that, but also the environmental. So looking at what effect it will have on the biodiversity, on the plant life, on the animal life, what effect it may have on water resources. Will there be a damming of water and there may be a lower flow of water, stream flow reduction. So looking at all the environmental aspects of a development and then presenting that to the department for approval. And what I love about it is that it's a combined and holistic view. So not just looking at it purely environmentally and just scientifically saying yes or no. Because if you do that, any development will look bad, right? It'll look like, okay, you're going to be removing indigenous vegetation and we can't go ahead. So you've got to look at, yes, we may lose some indigenous vegetation, but we can always rescue it, remove it and relocate it to somewhere safer and then still go ahead with the development. And that's what my job is, to try and find that environmental balance, or as they call it, sustainable development.
Well, that's really great, making the world better for the future children to come and all of them to have all these plants and the different species. And you spoke about the social impact and all of that. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so one of the most vital aspects of an environmental impact assessment is called public participation. So any development that goes through this process has to have a level of engagement with the local community. So it firstly is obviously the neighborhood. So you would put a site notice on the site saying that there's going to be a development, this is what it is, and you can register as an interested and affected party within the development. So the whole 6-month process, you'll be involved as a neighbor or someone who's affected. Even if you're just a passerby, by walking by, you may be affected with your taxi route, for example. So we look at all those considerations and how community can be impacted either positively or negatively, both ways. And then we request that the community registers and become an interested party. And throughout the process, they will be informed either as public meetings or we'll place the documents at a local library, or it could be via email, phone call. There's many ways that we can be in contact with them. And we also put an advert in the local newspaper to say that this development is occurring. So in all of these ways, the public is involved, because, and this could be your own private development. I mean, I'm working on a housing estate in Hillcrest at the moment. And you would think it's private land, I own that land, I can do what I want on that land, which is true, but there's some environmental impact and there's some social impact. Now there's a taxi rank nearby, for example, and they are saying, look, you're going to put this fancy estate, and now what's going to happen, and you don't want to be here. So they have to find ways and try to solve those matters. And it's really enjoyable that you can help somebody out at the end of the day.
I'm glad you find it enjoyable. I mean, especially involving the community the way you are, putting it on so many platforms, and I mean, taking into context that their income is coming from the taxi rank and whatever it is. And I mean, that is everything that you look at. So you're looking at it from a whole holistic perspective, which is something that not everybody does. I saw something that I really like and I'm so excited about. I noticed that you have been part of an NGO sector for the past 17 years. And you're the chairman of the Penny Appeal South Africa, an international nonprofit working in 30 countries at the moment. That's amazing. I love it when people are involved in charity or any NGO in general. So please tell me more about that.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, so as I say, for 17 years, I started off, my late father was a community activist here in Durban with the Al-Ansar Foundation as one of the founders. So we grew up in community work. It was his life. He was part of the Muslim youth movement and many other, charitable works at his young age. And so throughout our lives, we would just tail him along everywhere he went. And so that passion sort of fused into me, and that joy and really that experience of being with those who are less fortunate makes you appreciate your life so much more. So being in that field, I always wanted to try and push myself again to see how much more I can do, and also encourage others to do the same. It's so, as Muslims, we're always talking about joining good and forbidding evil. This is a great way that we can join good. And again, looking at my experience in the environmental sector, looking at my experience in the social sector, fusing my experience and providing it to an international charity was the perfect sort of scenario. So giving back in that way, and also giving back on my time and my expertise, is really fun. And so Penny Appeal, alhamdulillah, now is about our third year in South Africa. It's a UK-based charity. Now working in over 30 countries. We've got offices in USA, Australia, Dubai, and Canada. And then we work in various countries in Africa, Yemen, Syria, parts of Asia, and so Pakistan, India. So the experience that as a team we've got now in South Africa, it's really good, because we are able to then ensure both that we're helping our people overseas, but also establishing a strong base in South Africa. Our partners' office in USA, for example, sponsored a medical bus in South Africa. Our partners in Canada have provided all of the Qurbani was done in South Africa. So just like that, we're able to assist South Africa, but also look at projects overseas. And that kind of balance is really important to me. So not just, wanting to take the money out of the country, but definitely helping local, because you go to donors and they tell you, yeah, I know Palestine is important, I know Yemen is important, but look out my window right now, there's someone on the street there that doesn't have a home, that doesn't have food. So that balance is really important. I think with Penny Appeal, alhamdulillah, we were able to strike that balance.
I totally agree with you when it comes to a sense of balance. And I find it so amazing that you value add not only to the community, but to the world. And you're so involved in this passing forward methodology. And I believe that is how our life should be lived. So I'm absolutely wowed by you, in awe of you. And there's another thing you mentioned about like you being with your father and learning all of that from him and whatever. And it resonates with me so much, because I mean, like as a parent, you always want to instill these kind of qualities into your children. And that is just so amazing that he's managed to create such strong-minded children that are able to help in such a great way.
Yeah, my late father, I mean, we really miss him so much. I mean, till today, it's been now, 8 years that he's passed away, but we still find people coming to us and saying, do you know what your dad did to me? Do you know how much he meant to me? It was, and many people, one of the words that they would use was that he no matter how busy he wasn't a rich man. He had that passion and that drive to help communities. And so he was a principal of a school, and we didn't know that, how much times he would share his own lunch as a principal with students who would come to him, say, sir, I'm hungry, can I have a meal? And he would come home hungry himself, but not tell us anything, just have a cup of tea and move on. So those kind of experiences and tales that are people telling us now after he's gone is so heartwarming to know that, to be a part of the lineage of my late father. I think it's really a blessing that Allah has given us.
You actually have me tearing up here. And I so resonate with that because of my own father and having him passed. And I hope that Allah grants him the highest stages of Jannah, inshallah. And I wish you all the best in whatever you are striving for, every success. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this and meeting you all and being part of this campaign and summit. I think it's going to be a success, and it's just the first one. So there's always time to grow from there and improve. So we're all working together can really achieve this, and Allah keep our intentions purely for Him and His pleasure, inshallah.
Ameen. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
And at the heart of a Muslim is sincere. Under the